We're now with Dalton. First question.
Dalton, congratulations on the victory. That's got to be the most satisfying win of your career, with the cancellations and just the anticipation of having this fight actually happen and going out there and finishing an undefeated fighter like that.
Yeah, I mean, it felt great. I was watching a lot of pre-fight media stuff and watching his interviews. I really delve into my opponents, do as much research, see what they're saying, if they have a game plan or anything. I try to go above and beyond. And I heard him, he was saying all kind of things, like I was going to quit, that I'm not on his level, that he's going to get an easy win, and he's going to show his boss that he deserves to be up in the championship fights, and I'm not on his level, and all this other stuff. So, I don't want to say I went out there with a chip on my shoulder, but I definitely went out there with something to prove. He was a 3-time NCAA champ wrestler. I went out there and I out-wrestled him, stuffed every single takedown, every single one. Took him down a couple times, and I ended up knocking him out, and what feels great about it is all the stuff he was saying beforehand, like saying that, I was no good, that I was going to quit, that I was going to tuck tail and run whenever things turned bad, and then to put him out, like I did, it was a great feeling.
With some fighters in trash talk, sometimes it can either work for you or work against you. You get in their head or you get too emotional, but it looked like it actually worked in your favor. We saw that with the finish. Do you feel like you kind of made a mistake that way? Had he not said anything, maybe you wouldn't have unleashed the beast like you did tonight.
No, see, my last fight, my opponent kind of started the trash talk, but this fight I did, essentially just from saying that he was a coward because he pulled out so many times, and there was some interviews and stuff of him saying that he was only aware of one of the fights, which is complete bullcrap because he signed the dotted line all 4 times we were supposed to fight. We could have Mike Kogan or Rich Chow or somebody attest to that. But I saw that as insecurity. When he was saying that to the media, he was trying to keep an image about himself. And that was the biggest tell out of anything. And then the trash talk back and forth, it was me trying to get in his head a little bit. Like when we were on stage for weigh-ins, I told him, I was like, you look a little nervous. He was like, a little bit. And I said, it's too late to be scared. And he was saying something else, and I said some explicit things, and I said, speak up, just to summarize what I said. But, yeah, so I think those things were getting in his head. And then obviously he started pushing me and stuff at weigh-ins, and every time I seen him this week, I said something to him. So I think it definitely worked in my favor in that way.
Your teammate got a huge win a few weeks ago, Johnny Eblen winning the title. Like, how much was that on your mind ahead of this fight and kind of keeping that standard of ATT, just, you got to go out there and perform at a high level?
I mean, that wasn't really on my mind. Johnny's a great fighter all around, His striking's come a long way. Whenever I first came, his striking, like, honestly, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't anywhere near what it is right now. You know what I mean? Now I find myself, like, whenever we're sparring, like, I really have to dig deep, against him, and he has a great gas tank, and he pushes the pace so hard. And it's just great to have him around to be able to push me because he's such a good fighter. And I mean, it shows he's a champ now. And but kind of answering your question, that wasn't really much in my head or like pressure-wise to try and keep that winning going. It was just I was coming out here and I got goals I'm chasing. And it's just one step at a time, you know what I mean? Eventually, I want to be the champ. Johnny's the champ right now. This is his time. And we're going to keep training with each other. And hopefully, one day I get the shot. And, I mean, that's a good problem to have. If me and him end up fighting each other, it's business at the end of the day. But, me and him are friends. Me and him are training partners. And that's a good problem to have. It shows really how good both of you are. You're the best in the world, and you're both training at the same camp. It's great.
Just last one from me. Where does this win put you in the division right now, and who do you see as your next opponent? Because, again, this was a statement win tonight over an undefeated guy like yourself.
I want John Salter next. I was actually supposed to get John Salter for this fight, but he got injured or something. And, I would never accuse him of pulling out of fights because he's scared like Romero. So he's a veteran, very good fighter. So if he was injured, he was injured. So look at this. Got it right, and thank you. So hopefully John Salter, if he's healthy, I respect him. He's a great fighter. I'd love to test myself against him, see where I am, get the win there and keep moving up, take one fight at a time. But I would really, really love to step across the cage from him.
Dalton, congrats again on the win tonight, man. First question for you. Obviously, from start to finish, the crowd was going crazy in this one. Washington State's first Bellator event. How much do you feed off of the crowd in those moments when you're having your way in the cage, but also when the crowd's going crazy and all that?
I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't really hear much. All I could hear all fight long especially whenever I was taking him down or I had him pinned up against the cage, I just heard one little kid keep yelling, "Come on, Hercules. Come on, Hercules." I kept hearing it over and over again. I was trying to, like, after the fight, I was trying to scan the crowd to see if I could see who was saying it, but I couldn't. But that was the one thing I could hear all fight long. And, I wanted to at least say what's up to the little kid after, but I wasn't able to find him.
And last question for me, Big John McCarthy kind of touched on it during the post-fight interview about how your confidence is really showing out now in your fights. What's the biggest difference between the beginning of your Bellator career to now in terms of your mental approach to the game and just how confident you feel in there?
I feel confident not only because of my own abilities and my own work ethic, but also like I said in the cage, the people I have around me, my training partners like James touched on, Johnny Eblen, Austin Vanderford, Josh Silveira. I got guys in UFC, Christoph Jotko, former UFC vet, Marcus Perez. We got a great stable of fighters there, and they push me every single day, and I work hard. I'm in the gym 2 to 3 times. Every single day I take a midweek day off, and I take Sunday off. So the other days I'm working, I'm able to get 2 and 3 in every day, and they're quality practices. I take my recovery very seriously. I take my training very seriously. I take my diet, my sleep, everything. I'm trying to do everything I possibly can to become champion one day and write my name in the history books. And, I'm taking it one step at a time, and every single fight I get a little bit more confident. And, I'm already a confident individual as it is, but performances like this where I got off to a slow start, I wasn't very happy with it, but I found my rhythm a little bit later on in the fight. And, that's momentum I can ride into my next one.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats on the win. My question is, you seem to have been able to stuff his takedowns with relative ease. Did you do anything different or special for this particular fight camp?
No, but that's training with Johnny and Austin for you, man. We on Mondays we have wrestling. On Mondays we call it Mako Monday. We have an Olympian coach, great coach. He made my wrestling better, but my wrestling was already great beforehand. If I would have kept wrestling in college, you just see me out wrestle a 3-time NCAA champ wrestler. That's the type of I've been saying it all along. That's the type of wrestler I am. That's the credentials I would have had if I stayed wrestling, but I left wrestling. I went to play football. I took my chance on football. It didn't work out. I got back into MMA. But on top of that, I'm training with Johnny and Austin and Magomed Karamov and Magomed Umlatov and Amari Akhmedov and all these really good wrestlers every single day, and we have full-on wrestling practices. And then in the sparring, whenever I'm sparring against somebody like Johnny who shoots, his gas tanks were crazy. Like I said, he'll shoot 100 times in 3 rounds. And it's chain wrestling. It's not just one shot, lock your hands, hold on for dear life, try to blast through for the finish. He gets in on the takedown, you stuff it, you think you're done. You get out, you're lazy for 1 second, he's back in on your legs. You stuff it again, he drives you to the cage. You stuff it again, you get an underhook, he switches to a crossbody. It's the chain wrestling that he does that makes me better, and then obviously wrestling with the whole group of guys that I have, every single day. So I'm just going to keep getting better from here.
Did you notice that he was tiring after all those shots?
Oh, I noticed he was getting tired after the first round, but to be honest with you, like I said, there was times where I was overextending on my shots, and there was times where I wasn't committing enough to them. And I found myself in kind of like no man's land where, I felt like I was just in range for him to hit me, but not close enough in range for me to hit him, or I overcommitted and I was missing the shot, or I was throwing too hard where I didn't set it up enough. And my coaches kept telling me, take your time. You're boxing so much better than this. You're striking so much better than this. Just take your time. Feint, take your time. And that's exactly what I did, and I eventually found my rhythm. And, I think I was a little tired in the first round because of everything I was doing. But once they coached me up in the corner and I took their advice and I started feinting and taking my time and I was patient, I really feel like I was able to turn it on because he was tired still and I wasn't.
Thank you.
Hey, Dalton, congrats on the win there. Jared Wilson here. Yesterday I saw all the social media stuff going on between you and your opponent. How satisfying was it for you to get that win by knockout? Exactly like you said, it's one thing to walk the walk, but it's to talk is another thing.
It was great. I wouldn't have been satisfied with a decision win. Even though I was going in there, I was winning every single round pretty handily. He only landed a couple shots. He landed one good shot where I was like, okay, I'm being lazy now. I'm not exiting after I'm throwing my shots. I'm just sitting there. But besides that, He really didn't do anything. I was dominating the fight, like I said, but if I wouldn't have finished him, I would have been so upset with myself, and I got the finish, so it felt great, especially because I said I was going to knock him out, and he was talking all the crap he said that he was going to do. He said he was going to knock me out. He said I was going to quit. Like I said before, we went over this several times throughout the interview so far, and to get the finish the way I did was very satisfying.
And like you said, you want to fight John Salter next. Is there a time frame when you would want that fight to happen?
October or November. So I would love to do a quicker turnaround, but I really don't want to travel to Dublin, for a fight.
Yeah.
I don't want to travel all the way to Ireland, so maybe after that, whatever they have. And I want to take a little bit of a break because I was training this entire time like I was going to fight in April because I was hoping to fight on the Hawaii card. And then I called Mike Shipman out and was hoping that I was going to get the call for the cards in May over in London. And that didn't happen. So then we didn't know if I was fighting in June or if I was fighting in July. So I just stayed ready. So it's kind of like I've been in fight camp this whole time. So I would like to take a week off to just relax, then gradually get back into my training, and hopefully October, at the latest November.
Any travel plans then for your little break coming up then?
I'm going to go back to Pittsburgh. I love my city. I'm a big Pittsburgh guy. That's my home. Everybody's always talking about, it must be nice to live down in Florida. And the weather's nice and everything, but I miss Pittsburgh and I miss Pennsylvania so much. So whenever I get a chance to go home, I always do.
Last question here. You said that when you tried to go over to the football side, didn't work out. You came back over here. Do you think going into football and getting to be that athletic, I think of football players, some of the most athletic people in the world. Do you think training with NFL players and such like that helped you become so athletic? Now, like today, you beat a 3-time American wrestler.
Well, I beat him because I'm a better fighter than him. I work harder than him. I work way harder than him. I can tell you, I don't care what he says. I don't care what anybody says. I know what I do, and I know he isn't on my level whenever it comes to work ethic. You take skill out of the equation, he's not working like I am. The football, I went there to potentially chase a dream in the NFL, and it didn't work out. And here I am, which is just as good. So.
What's up, Dalton? Congrats on the win. So you said you were watching Romero's media interviews. In some of them, he called you a point fighter. He went as far to say that the opponents you fight don't walk away with any damage. Did these comments give you any extra motivation to get that finish? And once you did get that finish, what do you make of these comments?
No, I heard that. I seen he said I was were you the one that was interviewing him? It was on your Instagram?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I watched that whole video the one day.
Thank you.
Yeah, he was saying I was a point fighter, and that's just ridiculous, Ty Gorder was resilient. That's why I didn't get the finish against him. I was being cautious against Tony Johnson because you see the way he knocked out Joe Schilling, a world champ kickboxer. That's why I was point fighting against Tony. You know what I mean? Then Dwayne Johnson, I can make excuses all day, but there was something wrong with my knee. I couldn't do much on the ground where I could have finished him. I couldn't posture up. There's things I couldn't do during that fight. I didn't want to make excuse before or after the fight. But since we're way past that, I can tell the truth about it. But I'm not a point fighter. I hurt Dwayne Johnson multiple times as well, but I just got too caught up in the shit talking, didn't finish him. And when he said that, I laughed. I didn't take any offense to it. I didn't let it get to me. I didn't let it get under my skin or in my head. And I just knew if he truly believes that, he might have just been saying that to talk shit, but if he truly believed that, he was going to have another thing coming tonight. He was going to be very surprised. I was going to go out there and out-wrestle him like I said I was in my interviews, and I was going to knock him out just like I said I was going to do in my interviews.
And you touched on it earlier in this interview. This is a fight that's been scheduled a few times. Are you happy to be finally done with Romero Cotton?
Yes, because I was tired of preparing for him for 8 weeks at a time, and then 3 weeks before him pulling out. And were you also the one that was interviewing whenever he said he was just aware of two of them, this one and the last one?
Again, yes, sir.
Yeah, he he is such a fucking liar. I'm sorry for my language. He's such a liar. He signed the dotted line 3 separate times. He pushed the first one back twice to October 15th and October 29th, and then he pulled out to October 29th. And then it got substituted for Ty Gorder, then it was Dwayne Johnson, then it was now. So that's 4 times.
And you also touched on, you've been training with Johnny Eblen. Is there any moments during those trainings where you're like, I don't want to give this guy too much of a look just in case you do end up facing him one day?
No, because he's constantly evolving. If I don't push myself or pull new tricks out of my bag every now and then, he's just going to beat me up, In order to keep it competitive, I got to pull those tricks out of my bag, and he does too. You know, he's always trying something new every single time I spar him. It's like, okay, where the hell did this come from? You know, it's like you weren't doing this last week or the week before or even on Tuesday. We spar 2 to 3 times every week, so it's like, you know, I'm constantly learning new things, and I'm gonna try them. I have a world champion in my gym right now that I get to try some of the stuff I'm learning on. If I'm gonna, you know, try it, that's the time to try it, not wait until the fight. You know what I mean? If I could do it on him, I could do it on anybody else in the division. And I like I said, I truly believe that the 3 best fighters in the division is me, Johnny, and Austin, you know, and obviously Johnny's the champion right now. So like I said, there's no opinion to have about that. That's honestly God's truth. But my opinion for the other 2 would be me and Austin. And it's only a matter of time before these rankings and the division rearranges itself, and you see me, Johnny, and Austin at 1, 2, and 3.
And I think one of the more intriguing aspects of this fight was the chess match going on between American Top Team and AKA. Can you speak on what was it like to prepare for this fight?
I own AKA. I beat up Tony Johnson. I beat up Romero Cotton. If Kyle Kutchmer wants it, he can come with the 185 and get it next. You know, I'll do the same thing to his little ass that I just did to Romero Cotton. They're both midgets. So, you know, I should be a coach at AKA, if anything. They should pay me.
Next question from Nolan.
What's going on, Dalton? Congrats on the win, man. Just thinking about this whole thing, you know, this was obviously pegged as kind of a prospect versus prospect matchup, and that's something you've been called your whole career. Do you feel like you can kind of shed that now? You can stop calling you a prospect, like you're here?
You guys call me whatever you want to. It doesn't bother me at the end of the day. It's whatever you guys label me as.
Sure, man. I guess, is there any sort of affirmation or confirmation? Like, he started MMA 2 years before you did, and, you know, you guys were kind of on a similar collision course coming up through the scene. I think that's why people were so excited about this matchup. So, for you to go out there and just kind of dominate him from start to finish, like, is there any sense of confidence or confirmation in your self-belief that you get out of something like that?
No, because I knew that was going to happen beforehand. My teammates did too. And like I said, I said it several times in this interview before, I get to train with the best in the world. You know, 2 of the best in Bellator are in my weight class, and they're my training partners. So we get to test ourselves against each other all the time, and we know exactly where we're at. So it's just surprising to everybody else whenever we come out here and put on these performances. I mean, let's be honest. Who in this room expected Johnny to beat Gegard Mousasi? I don't believe any of you guys if you guys say you did. Because nobody believed it, but all of us at ATT did, you know. And I thought Austin had a chance of beating him, honestly. He got caught early, but you see the way Austin trains, Austin could beat him too, you know. I can beat Mousasi. I know you guys probably thinking in your head, I can't do it, but I can do it as well. And Johnny showed up, had his best night, and he showed that he's best in the world. And nobody expected that. So at the end of the day, we know exactly how good we are, and it's just surprising to everybody else whenever we do what we do. Yeah, I would only want to fight them, and I don't want to fight them. I would only fight them as if it were for a title or for a title shot, and that's the last thing. Like Bellator's like, okay, this one isn't going to be for a title, but you and Austin have to fight each other in order to get the shot at title for Johnny. That's the only way I would fight if it weren't a title. But if I'm getting a title shot and Johnny's still champion, you know, we'll be friends at the end of the day. I mean, maybe we won't. Maybe it'll be awkward after, but. Like I said, until that day comes, I'm still going to train with him because he pushes me every single day. I'm still going to train with Austin. I'm still going to take advantage of that every day. The bodies are there. The coaches are there. I'm going to take advantage of all my resources that I have available.
Jay?
Hey, thanks very much for the time, and Dalton, congrats on the win. As has been said, that was a definite statement win, and I think the division is on notice. A couple of quick ones, though. There was a few times in that fight where Romero kind of turned away from you, and I'm wondering if you noticed that and thought at that point he was done, and did it surprise you that he lasted as long as he did?
He has a freaking hard head. That's all I could say. There's a couple of those shots should have knocked him out. There's that Superman punch that I hit him when I clipped him clean in the jaw, and you can see it on the replay. And he didn't go out from that one, but that one obviously buzzed him because the next one put him out flat. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. He turned away a few times, but I just think that's inexperience, and I just think that's just him showing how green he is on the feet. And I honestly, not to, I was joking earlier about the AKA joke, but I think they have great coaches there, but I don't think they analyze the small details that need to be refined to take a fighter at the level that they're at. You know, some of those fighters that don't come in top level already and turn them into top level. But at ATT, we have that. So I think that's the difference at the end of the day.
And you mentioned the Superman punch, and that was going to be my other question. I mean, that was really picture perfect. Was that something that came up in the moment, or is that something that you'd been working on?
No, I do it all the time. I did it against Tony Johnson twice in our fight. You know, I hit Tony Johnson, but it was more on like a forehead. It wasn't a clean shot. I tried it on Dwayne Johnson. It literally just the tip of it touched. I have a picture where the tip of my knuckles touching his chin, but it was like all my weight was backwards. It wasn't going forward. It was like a bad landing on the Superman punch. But I mean, this one landed flush. So I've tried it in each of my last 3 fights. You know, I love that punch. I'm explosive. You know, I'm a fast fighter. I'm fast especially for you know, my stature, you know, my physique. I carry a lot of muscle. I think a lot of people don't expect me to be that fast. Whenever they get hit, they're like, "Oh shit, that was fast," you know. And I think the same thing goes for that Superman punch, especially because I'm launching myself off the canvas.
Well, absolutely fantastic performance tonight. Congrats again on the win.
Thank you.
Last question, Kobe.
Hey, Dalton, obviously you're pretty analytical of what you do. That was pretty much a flawless performance. I think he tagged you twice the entire fight. What do you think you need to work on to improve?
You know, there's something about it's not about experience. Like the Bellator cage is like the shape of it and the, you know, the size of it. It's like a little. We have an octagon in our gym, and just honestly, the shape of it being a circle makes it seem so much bigger, and the angles you have to cut somebody off and, you know, be offensive. It's different. So finding that range. I usually find it. Tonight I found it in the second round, but the first round, it seemed like he was so far away, and it took me a little bit to find that range, and I think that's like what I would, you know, need to work on most, and finding that range quicker. But I'd say that's about it. You know, there's some technique and stuff I could tune up. I was to get overextended on some of my punches, not committing to some of them as well. You know, dropping my hands maybe after I was throwing a combination. Sometimes putting too much power. Just not to get too analytical. Those are just some things I would touch up on. Just being critical of myself, but I'd have to go back and watch the tape because I'm sure there's more.
Okay, Trubisky or Pickett?
Trubisky. I haven't heard anything about Pickett because, you know, if Pickett had a chance at starting, you would see it in the headlines. I mean, let's be honest. We haven't heard Tomlin making comments about him. We haven't heard Matt Canada making comments about him. We haven't seen it in the news. We haven't seen it in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Nothing. So I think Trubisky's going to start, and that's who I think should at the end of the day. He has the experience. He's a known winner. He's made the playoffs. He can move. He's a good quarterback, you know, and now he's on. I don't want to say we're a good team, but we're better than the Bears were.
For sure. Good fight, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes our time. Thank you.